Hello! So in this video, we are going to be talking about plotting ordered pairs. And in order to do this, we need to know what an ordered pair is. Every dot or point on a coordinate plane will be described using a set of numbers. And those numbers usually come inside parentheses with a comma in the middle. And your X number will be the first number. Your Y number will be the second number. So an example of this would be a point on a line 1, 3. Your X number is going to be 1. And your Y number is going to be 3. And this will make more sense once we look at an actual coordinate plane and put the point on the graph. But you do really want to remember that your X number comes first and your Y number comes second. So we're going to practice plotting some coordinate pairs or ordered pairs. You might hear them referred to in different ways. I usually call them coordinates. Some people call them ordered pairs. It basically just means plotting points. So the first one that we want to look at is the special one that I mentioned in another video, 0, 0. And that is always going to be right in the middle where your X and your Y cross. So on this coordinate plane, we are only looking at the positive sections. And I'm going to label my x-axis. That's my side to side. And my y-axis is this line that goes up and down. So the spot where these two lines cross, if I follow my lines, x goes side to side, and y is up and down, it crosses right here. And that is a very special point called the origin. It's at 0, 0. So this is called the origin. If you see a math problem that refers to the origin or talks about the origin, you will know that it is the center of where the x-axis and the y-axis cross. So now that we've got that special point out of the way, we're going to plot some other points. Let's look at this point, 3, 2. The first thing that I like to do when I have ordered pairs or coordinates is I like to label my points. So my X number is the first number, and my Y number is the second number. And this really helps me because it helps me to keep track of which number is going to be, like which axis you're using for each number. So for the first one, my X is 3. I am going to follow the x-axis. I'll start at the origin and I'm going to follow this until I get to 3. And then I stop. And then my y is 2. So I'm going to start at the origin and I'm going to go all the way up to 2. And now here's where I can find out where the point is. I need to find a spot where this 3 and this 2 are going to intersect, or where they meet. So I'm going to start at this 3, and I need to go up, and I'm going to go to that 2, and I'm going to go over, and I'm just going to keep going until I get to a point where these two are going to meet, which would be right here in this corner. So that is where 3, 2 is going to be. And sometimes people like when you label your points, so I'm going to do that. This is 3, 2. Okay, here's another point to try. I'm going to label my point again. My X number is 6, and my y number is 9. So just like I did before, I'm going to start at the origin. I'm going on the x-axis, and I'm just going to go over until I get to 6 on the x-axis, and then I stop. And then I'm going to go up to 9 on the y-axis. So I'm traveling up the y-axis until I get to 9. Okay, now I need to go over. I'm going to actually draw a line this time. And I don't know how far I need to go, so I'm just going to draw that line out a little bit. And I'll draw a line coming from the 6 up. And I'm looking for the point where these two lines are going to cross. This line is going a little funny. Okay, so that line is going a little crooked, but we can see that these two lines are going to intersect about right here. And now I can erase those lines that I used to guide me, and this point I will label, this is 6, 9. Okay, let's do one more of a kind of normal ordered pair, and then we'll go over two kind of special situations. So just like I did before, I'm going to label my points. Here's X, and here is Y. So for my X number, I'm going to start at the origin and move along the X-axis until I get to 3. So here I go until I get to 3. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the y-axis. I'm going all the way up until I get to 6. All right, now I'm going to draw my lines, and hopefully they cooperate. Here is my line coming up from 3. And I don't know how far it needs to go, so I'm just going to keep going. And then I'm going to draw my orange line from 6, and I need it to cross that green line. Here we go. So my point is going to be where those two lines cross. Those are just guidelines for me to help me. And now I can get rid of my lines. All right, I got rid of my guidelines. I'm going to label my point. This is 3, 6. Okay, let's talk about some special situations. Let's look at the point 0, 4. I'm going to label this point. My X is 0 and my Y is 4. Okay, so usually what I do is I look at my X number and I travel along the X-axis until I get to the number that is my X number. But in this case, I notice that my X number is 0. So instead of traveling along, I actually have nowhere to travel. I'm staying right there at 0. And then I'm going to travel up my y-axis to 4. Okay? And if I were to draw my line going from 4 across, like that, and then I draw a line up from my green dot, what I notice is that I actually cross right here on top of the y-axis. So if I erase my guidelines, this is what I'm left with. My point is right here on the y-axis, and I'm going to label it. This is 0, 4. And then our other special point is pretty similar. Just a little flip-flopped. So I'm going to label my X, and I'm going to label my Y. And this time I'm starting in the middle at the origin, and I'm going to travel down the x-axis until I get to 4. This is the spot where x equals 4. And I can draw my line. I don't know where it's going to cross for the next point. And then I need to find y equals 0. So I start at the origin right here, but I actually don't have anywhere to travel because I'm already at 0 on the y-axis. So I'm going to draw my line, and I am going to cross. My guidelines are going to cross right here. So when I erase my guidelines, I'm left with a point right here. I'm going to label it. This is 4, 0. Okay? So basically our two special points. When x is 0, that means that your dot is going to end up on the y-axis right here. And when y equals 0, your dot is going to end up on the x-axis right here. So those are just two types of points that people tend to get mixed up. So hopefully that is helpful.